sit down. There. Awesome. Do we have more mics? So we can So let's just go through and do a little bit of intros on everyone. You want to start first, Ida?
Hi, I'm Ida, and I am the co-founder and associate chief legal officer for Fluidity Money. We're an incentives-based protocol that sits on the blockchain, the middle layer of the blockchain, that incentivizes people for just moving their assets.
Hi, I'm Uniel from Seoul, Korea. I'm a co-founder and CBO of CAN, Community Alliance Network. We provide a no-code service builder for startups and enterprises so that we can empower a lot of legacy businesses and services can enter into a Web3 scene.
Hi, I'm Mindy from South Korea also, and I'm founder of Yale Labs, which is for a private exclusive club for fine art.
Hello, my name is Mikhail. I am the co-founder of Venture D. We're a Web3 venture studio focused on creating media and fintech products. So I came from the digital marketing agency space for 14 years. Built games past a year and a half, NFT games, and yeah, looking for new cool stuff to build.
Awesome. And let's start with the first question because we're going to go over how to tokenize your project step by step. So the first question is, Mikhail, what is a token?
Tokenization?
Token, and then we can go over tokenization.
Token basically, this is proof of authenticity or just being able to creating a product that's interoperable or inside the chain or whatever it is. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. And Mindy, what is tokenization?
Tokenization is tokenizing your project so that you can have digital assets in blockchain.
Yeah, so as a summary, a token, this is complicated, people, okay? But once you get past this point, everything's pretty easy. It gets a little bit more complicated, but it's pretty easy after this point, right? So imagine the ledger, right? The blockchain. They found a way of not just recording transactions, but storing data on the blockchain. So that's tokenization, right? That can be an NFT, that can be in DeFi, that can be a crypto token, right? There's many different ways. It's just the way by which you do that, right? It can be many different things. So we're going to talk about how to tokenize in general. Unil, what do you think is something people should know before they tokenize anything?
Before they tokenize, okay. So when you prepare for tokenization, you have to think about what types of the assets or what types of the data you want to tokenize, because depending on the nature of the assets or the data, the type of the token should be different, and the utilities or the user flows and the transaction manner will be totally different. So identifying the categories of your business and the assets is really important.
Yeah, creating asset classes is probably the biggest part of the beginning part of tokenization. Now, what are the many different ways we can tokenize?
So here's the thing, okay? Tokens is very different from coins. Tokens has a value capture in an environment. So they are both built on the blockchain. They are both placed on the blockchain. Both of them are composable, but one has value capture, utility. That's what you're talking about. The other one is pretty much a medium of exchange, like Bitcoin, okay? So with that in mind, if you want to tokenize a project, you must first understand and extract in your project a value that can be reduced in a metric form. It has to be reduced in an understandable code language, because all of this is going to be coded on the smart contract. So that is something that you need to take a step back and do. So you have to do this first before you do the step-by-step tokenizing process. There's a lot of ways to do the step-by-step, so I am more on towards the legal part and the commercial part. So I just briefly given you the commercial emphasis on it. The legal part is the due diligence. Now that you have that value, you need to then take a step back and look at that value and say, is that a security? Is that a utility? What benefits does it give? What you got to do that due diligence. So it's a lot of due diligence first before you go say, okay, I'm going to mint a coin, I'm going to launch it, and I'm going to put it on an ICO or an IDO or things like that. Do this first. And then once you're clear on this process, that will then give you a clarity on how and which route path you should take. So I don't think I can cover all here, but I think I'll start with that first and just stop here. Yeah.
Right. And I'll actually bring it over to Mindy, because you have a platform that makes it pretty easy for people to tokenize. And I want you to go through the steps of how users on your platform do that.
You mean how to users to tokenize their own item?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are many ways to tokenize your assets, not your project. But for assets, there are many controversial ideas in Ethereum or other blockchains. Currently, Azuki team has launched the physical-backed token. So, like you, put an NFC or QR code on the asset for linking to your smart contract or your website, so that you can tokenize or you can store the data on the blockchain. Yeah.
Yep. Unil, can you actually give one of the easiest ways someone can tokenize something? It could be an NFT, it could be anything, but what is one of the easiest ways to enter into learning how to do that?
Well, actually, the tokenization nowadays is very, easy to get in, because we're not just talking about NFTs, but the fungible tokens and transactional tokens or security tokens is also easy to issue with some of the services. And even like soul bond tokens are also, happening a lot. So the easiest one that you can access to might be a pool app, so you could use pool app and whenever you meet some new people, you can just give the link and then make a new token for the proof of your meetings and meetups. So that can be a kind of like an easy thing to get into. And even as a project or startup, there are a lot of SaaS available at the moment with regulated service providers, even like security tokens. Like in some jurisdictions like Switzerland or Singapore, we already have regulated service providers for the security tokens as well, like real estates, equities, even like gold or some like physical assets as well. So yeah, if you want to, there are a lot of services that you can reach out to.
Yeah. And Mikhail, do you want to tell people what they need to do? Like, do they need to know code to do any of this?
No. What the other panelists said, I think the most important thing that people need to identify in the get-go is really identifying the value chain in whatever product they're building. Coming from the marketing space, like usually you have a full cycle customer journey. That's one interesting thing a way to look at it, or like supply chains. straightforward process. So figure out the value and what your project is doing, identify the steps in it, and then once you isolate the moving pieces of that value chain, you put numbers behind it, whether through math, finance, whatever, and then only then you start coding. But it's really the very core of it is identification of the product and what value and how it builds on top of each other.
Right, yeah, it's a mix of a lot of things, right? Let's say that we create a token right now, right? Well, let's say like this stage is OpenSea. I'm just used to OpenSea because I'm in the US, I'm in Miami, right? And we create a token that there's 4. I'm the creator of the token, I give it each to one of you, but we set the value, right? It's supply and demand, most of the time. And if we each say, okay, I'm gonna give it to you for $1, $1, $1, $1, but then we tell you all about the tokens that we have now, and someone goes, hey, I'll buy that for $5, that now changes the inherent value of what that token could be. And that's essentially how the process of tokenization works, is supply and demand, and also distribution across a community or a group of people. And that's how you initially launch a project. It could be many different ways. It could be in DeFi, DAOs, NFTs. And I think there's a big distinction between, and you brought this up, there's a big distinction between a community token and a cryptocurrency. And that's mostly seen in a DAO. So can you explain the difference between a community token and a cryptocurrency in a DAO?
Again, it's all in the coding. The community token is what we call the governance. It gives you certain extra benefits, which is basically you can propose and you can vote. And the other token is just generally a tradable token. That means you just take it and you trade it on the secondary market. Okay. In terms of composition, in terms of the identification of it, I can't speak so much on the coding. I'm not a tech. But for fluidity, what we do is that we use an algorithm base to actually isolate and identify users within an environment to know which person you should go for to airdrop that governance token. Because you don't want to waste it. You don't want to waste your governance token. But how do you determine that? Because the people who hold the governance tokens will protect your token. So when the bear market falls, if you don't have the community to support you that holds the governance tokens, what they'll do is that they just look at the market, they get spooked, and they will dump it. And then what happens is your token goes on the free fall. But if you have the community that holds your governance token, and because they believe in that value that you have been evangelizing to them, and they trust the value, and they want to be part of that economic value, they will do everything they can to not tank that token and hold it. Because if they tank it, the value goes, and then the utility goes. So that is one of the main difference, is to know the personality behind the user as opposed to the token. Yeah.
Yeah, you typically don't want people trading too much to hold the same value, right? Like we have to we don't want flippers. Or that's what I usually say in marketing campaigns, right? Like how do we get the community to not just flip and destroy the liquidity so that it doesn't fall? So this brings another question, you Neil. What do you think makes a good token sale? How can someone launch a project and do well with their initial token?
Wow, it's really a tough question, especially for this bear market. Like a lot of projects are pending their issuance events. Well, for me, the best is that, bringing the real community, as Ida already mentioned, so that you should bring your intrinsic value into the token, so that the token sale or token distribution cannot be kind of like a dumping or another way of cash flow for your project, but more like for the purpose of the community. It can be valuable and usable and like transactionable, so that the whole community can enjoy the tokenization. So that core is the most important part. And the token sale nowadays, it seems like a lot of them first community drop, so that the community can experience how the tokenization can work, and then they can be prepared for a certain technical hurdles as well, like wallet settings and kind of stuff, right? And then they go up the serial sale process with different tiers of different user groups, like for the most loved ones, like OGs or some core contributors, and then move on to the invitations like a whitelist and some of the gated members kind of stuff, and then go on to the certain level of investor groups, and then there's a collaborator groups, who have a very similar community environments, like sharing the similar visions or sharing similar missions in different DAOs or different groups, can also collaborate together on the token sale. And that kind of like a collaborative sales are also another way to prepare your token sale, especially in this market right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing rundown of a high-level token launch. And with that too, there's a lot of stress. If anyone's been there on a launch day, it's probably the worst day you're ever going to live through because of how stressful it is, and everything seems to go wrong. But the best thing you can do, because if we imagine it like a public company, right? They go on the stock market, or they have their public launch of their stocks. You're going to deal with the news and media. But in a smaller community, you're going to have to deal with retail investors going, hey, when go up? What's happening now? And they're all mad because if it goes up, if it goes down, they're wondering what's happening. And it's it's PR, it's marketing, it's community management, it's a lot of things for a small team, and that should be taken into your thoughts of like how we move forward in our marketing process and how we build our teams when we launch a token. And Mindy, do you think that entrepreneurs should focus on tokenizing their businesses?
So why?
Do you think entrepreneurs should focus on tokenizing their businesses?
It depends on project, I think. As you said, the value of token is the intrinsic value of token is similar to the stock market. It's a stock. So, which means that it is present value of the future cash flows. So, if your project can make cash flows and they have intrinsic value, then you can tokenize your project immediately. But during these kind of market situations, the price is not depending on the supply demand rather than intrinsic value. So you should building your product until you can ensure that your project can make cash flows.
Absolutely. And Mikhail, can you give a good example of a project that you support and you've been a part of in a community that's set a lot of good goals and things that we should follow when we do the same process?
You mean like tokenization or?
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Ooh,
that could be an NFT project, a DeFi project, anything, but.
Okay, so I think one of the coolest NFT project and process I saw recently is Digidaiku, that project. They started out as a free mint and then slowly built the value over time. So just to give a little bit of context, Digidaiku is, I guess they're blue chip. I'm not sure if it's blue chip level now, but it's created by successful game developers that already create billions of dollars before. But what's fascinating about it is it did not sell out traditionally, like 5 minute sellout, 2 minute sellout. It was a free mint that went on for a while, and then went on to become 10x, 100x. I'm not sure, but it was free, and it's now minting. I think I'm not sure 10 ETH, something like that. So basically, it's organic building of demand, as opposed to hype that deflates. Just like anything in life, right? Anything that took you a while to get usually lasts longer than something that you get instantly. So that shows you that long-term commitment of the team and building value, and following through with it, and creating real engagement from your buyers, which ends up actually being the building blocks of your initial token sale. Because what you want in the beginning, before you sell any token, is to create real relationship with your early buyers. Because what you don't want are flippers, right? Flippers will be there, but what you want are supporters that will be there with you, through thick and thin, even if everything is burning. That the kind of people that will say, even if the ship is sinking, we're still gonna stay in the ship and help you take out the water. That kind of people. So yes, in creating projects, launching marketing campaigns, that's the one key thing, in my opinion, that should be in every project creator's arsenal. And yeah, it's something that will keep the value of your project over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing the free mint come up over and be transitioned into a main minting strategy has been a crazy transition, but it's all happened because of the bear market and because we all didn't have money. So we were like, hey, well, we'll just give it away for free and see what happens. We could die, or we could, be successful and rich. And Ida, do you think that, or do you have any tips for people in the bear market when it comes to either minting projects or becoming an investor or creating a project?
When it comes to minting tokens, there are platforms which are already out there that provides the toolkits that you can just click, and just mint a token in our environment. But that's not the real thing. Minting is actually the easy part, but the question is, what are you minting? What are you going to gain from it? How long are you going to stay? And generally, are you going to lose your money from that? And that, again, goes back to the basics again. You need to go to the project. You need to read the white paper. You need to, and FYI, a website is not an MVP, okay? You need to have, in this current market, at the very least, a beta test product that has been tested on the DevNet, like Robston, that you can go in and actually participate in a safe environment on just basically test tokens, okay? So you need to have all these things. Do it, touch it, play with it, do your research, understand in terms of the compliance behind it. Is there a payment system? Is there a settlement process? Do you have custody of the keys? Who holds the custody of the keys? All this you have to do before you say, I'm going to click that button and mint that token. Until you all these things, you're walking with your eyes open, and you must know what you're diving in for. That's the best advice I could give, really.
Right, and all those steps help you not get who's been rug pulled on the panel? I've been rug pulled more times than I can count. Even when it's been safe, even after I've done good, the developers have rug pulled. It's not even the founders. You never know. But that happens through checking out the smart contracts and making sure that they have a good team behind them too. Sometimes they trade people to go, hey, this is a good team now. We can rely on this. You did talk about, POAP, which is a proof of attendance protocol, and we have no time left. So I think a proof of attendance protocol is probably the easiest way someone can get into minting something. But how much does it cost, and how can people start getting into POAPs?
Well, basically for personal use, it's free. Yeah. just a little bit of gas fee, probably, yeah. But the gas fee is actually, you know, not decided by as a fixed price. So it always, you know, depending on the blockchain transactions and the transaction volumes in queues. So, but it's like around, you know, on Ethereum mainnet probably like $10 and $50, like in between of those, you know, level. So yeah,
And on Polygon, it's even cheaper, or Solana.
way
So,
cheaper. Yeah.
Now, they're giving me the cutoff point, so I'm sorry if you guys are sleeping, but thank you all for being on the panel, and let's give them a round of applause.
Philippine Blockchain Week. See you next year.